Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back into the Red Mike Dojo. I've got an excellent episode for you guys today. We got 4 key games we're going to talk through. We're going to go through a platter of plays that you need to lock in, or in another word, that I will have locked in if you want to bet with me. And then we have a pay for the drinks parlay, who's scoring, and some Mikey core to get you guys out of here. Some quick housekeeping for my NFL plays and everything else content related. You can find me on the Sportsline YouTube and also on CBS Sports HQ, which is on the CBS Sports app. Fridays at 2:30, Saturday mornings, Sundays at noon for all NFL stuff. Right back to it. We start every episode with our 4 key games of the weekend. These might not be the national favorites of the games, but they are my favorite games that I want to talk about. And we're going to start with the most important game in my head. Alabama going into Mizzou as a 3-point favorite, and the over-under at 52.5. The 2 biggest keys in this game are going to be Ahmad Hardy for Mizzou and Ty Simpson for Alabama. I see this game only going one way. One, because I don't necessarily believe in Bo Prabula, because I just can't pronounce the kid's name. Make no mistake, every single time I try to pronounce that kid's name, it's Bo Prabula. Prabula. I still don't believe in him. A Penn State backup going into Mizzou. Ahmad Hardy literally does everything for that offense. I think him and Ryan Williams both score tonight. That's a quick foreshadowing for the Who's Scoring segment. But I think both those guys score in that game. I think this could potentially be the Alabama put your foot on another team's throat game and really, really, really assert yourself in the SEC as the new front runner. Keep in mind, slightly biased take, I did just place Alabama to win the national championship at plus 700, so I am in love with this team. I think that last game that they played, not only does the defense now look dialed in, but Ty Simpson has this offense running like a goddamn Amtrak, dude. They are flying, and especially last game getting Ryan Williams involved. I just think this Alabama team is now entering the stage where they're dangerous. You just beat the crap out of Vandy. Shout out Jam Miller for the cover. But now you're starting to get a little dangerous. Now Ty Simpson knows he can throw to Ryan Williams if he can just hold on to the ball. I think Ryan scores, like I said. But I'm taking Alabama money line here. They're in the pay for the drinks parlay, quick foreshadow. And I just think that this is now a new Alabama team. I think DeBoer finally has his guys. I think DeBoer is finally feeling like himself again. You could tell the play calling against Vanderbilt, they had 3 red zone trips that stalled that could have been touchdowns, and they really could have blown out Vanderbilt, and I think you would have seen this spread much larger. Well, I just think Ty Simpson is the best quarterback in the country now, and I know Dante Moore and I know Fernando Mendoza have both entered the chat. But I'm such an Alabama guy right now that I just find it so hard to fade them in this spot. I don't love the over because I don't know if Bo's going to be able to move the ball against this Alabama team. And listen, this could be clipped for a freezing take segment if Mizzou comes out and defends their home, which is another narrative that Alabama's going on the road again. But I love Alabama money line here. They are a nuclear whale for me, and I'm going to be all over them. And our second key game of the weekend, Indiana going into Oregon, where Dan Lanning looks like he's cracked out. Can we keep it a buck? I've never seen a man's jaw and eyes move like that weren't in the bathroom bar at 3 a.m. If you're picking up what I'm putting down. Listen, I think the easy play is Indiana, plus 7.5. You get a touchdown with one of the best quarterbacks in college football right now, and Kurt Cignetti, who I feel as though from last year's playoff embarrassment is kind of on a warpath now with this Indiana team. Surratt looks like he could be a first-round draft pick on the outsides, and I just think that this team going into Oregon is going to be not only one of the best games on the slate, but it's going to be a massive test for Mendoza and this Indiana team. I'm taking the 7 points just because I feel like that's got to be my play in this one. I think Dante Moore, after beating Penn State, everyone overreacted, and now we're seeing that Penn State team might just not be as good as everyone thought they were. Hand up. I thought Drew Aller was going to walk to the Natty this year with that team, but apparently James Franklin wears Depends, and he just every chance he gets in a big spot. And losing to Nico is, I don't even know how you recover from that. I picture James Franklin after that game sitting in his desk just talking to his wife going, I don't know how we're going to financially recover from losing to Nico Lamalieva. I just don't know how you recover from that. So I do think you're getting Indiana at a really good price because this Oregon team just beat a Penn State team that I think the nation had ranked very highly. But I think this Indiana team could win the Big Ten this year. I think Mendoza could win the Heisman this year. And now you're telling me I get 7.5 points in my pocket? I am going to take this over along with the spread. I think the over right now is sitting at, let's do a quick check. The over is sitting at 55.5 right now, and I like that number. I think this could become a shootout, and if it's a shootout, I think Mendoza wins those 100 times out of 100 against Dante Moore. But I do think Dante Moore showed enough against Penn State that I trust him to move the ball against Indiana and Kirk Cignetti. But I love this number. I get a touchdown in my pocket with Mendoza, and I feel like that's very hard to turn down. And that's why they're in this key games, because I think you're getting an overreaction to Dan Lanning in Oregon, and you're getting an underreaction to Indiana, who's looked phenomenal this year. Third key game on the slate, the Red River Shootout, and I will not be calling it by any other name. If you do, you're a coward. Look at me. Coward. You're a coward. Oklahoma playing Texas right now. The spread is 1.5. Oklahoma is playing a backup quarterback as of right now. They're saying Mateer could be ready. I've seen Oklahoma fans say they want Mateer to play. I've seen Oklahoma fans say they don't need Mateer to play. My pick in this game truly has nothing to do with the Oklahoma quarterback position because I have a system. And the system is as follows. Picture SpongeBob typing in a computer and the computer moving 1,000,000 miles an hour. Brent Venables against really bad quarterbacks. And I have to say this system is undefeated this year. I took him against Bryce Underwood. I'm not saying Bryce Underwood's a bad quarterback, but that's a young quarterback. And the system is Brent Venables against quarterbacks that aren't seasoned and aren't good. Bryce Underwood is good, so don't get that twisted. But Brent Venables' defense against a freshman quarterback like that is going to work 100% of the time. Brent Venables against Jackson Arnold. He knew that was a bad quarterback. That's why they shipped him out of there like he was a bad habit. But now I'm getting Brent Venables against a young quarterback and a bad quarterback. Now, Texas fans, I don't want you to come after me because that just is not going to be fun for me at all. But listen, Arch Manning, I think we overreacted to the last name. I don't know why we made him the unanimous #1 overall team this year. I don't know why we put him as the #1 Heisman candidate. We hadn't seen the kid play against a good football team. And that's been my thing with Arch. I've been banging that drum. I've been planting my flag like I ran my ass up to Everest just to say, hey, we're overreacting to Arch Manning here. He only played bad competition in the Quinn Ewers years, and he was only used in packages. And now he's the #1 quarterback at possibly the biggest brand in the SEC. That's a lot. And I'm not saying that Arch can't become a good quarterback. I do think Arch Manning will be goated. So don't get my words twisted because I'm also just an idiot holding a red mic. But Arch isn't playing well this year. And their drives are stalling. And he can't move the ball. And I think those problems get exacerbated against Brent. Wow, can we have a second that I just use exacerbated in what I think is a correct term and in a correct way? But if you're telling me I get Brent Venables against a quarterback that I already don't believe in and that already struggles, yeah, I'm going to take Oklahoma every single time. I took the +1.5. I'm going to take the money line. I don't care if Mateer plays because it's not going to come down to Oklahoma's offense. And I think the Sooners come home with the Red River Shootout. On another note, if you live in the Texas area or in the Dallas area, do not go to this game. That State Fair on that day, it's going to be 98 degrees and it's going to be rat-fucked. And you can only buy everything with tickets. Which on another note, and it costs tickets to buy everything. I kid you not, you try to buy a bottle of water and you need 75 tickets. You're going to be covered in sweat, sunburnt, and watching Texas lose all at one time. In case you're wondering why something might look different in this frame, yes, the camera did die mid-sentence during my Texas Fair rant. And we are picking up recording now 2 hours later. So here we go. And let's move to our next key game where Michigan is traveling across the country to Southern Cal. That's quite a flight. I wonder if they're going to fly Delta and get the smash burgers from the Shake Shack if that's the airline that's doing that, because that is nice. Could you imagine getting on a flight, how gluttonous you got to be to get on a flight and order Shake Shack and be like, yeah, this is exactly what I needed. It's just too much. One of those burgers upstairs in the air, that'd get my stomach moving 1,000,000 miles an hour, dude. I'd have to make, You'd have to make an evac stop if I got my hands on some Shake Shack 30,000 feet in the air. Either way, this is going to be a great matchup. Bryce Underwood, Jaden Mayava, both kids can throw it around the park. They've proved it. Bryce Underwood a little bit more mobile. Jaden coming off a loss to Illinois, though, and now getting home. I feel like I want to give the edge to USC here. I think everyone's going to see Michigan at plus chicken and want to run over and click that button because it almost feels too easy to click, I'll be honest. That I want to take the home team. I feel like I've taken a lot of road teams already in these key games, and I really want to take a home team, and I think Jaden Mayava and USC, especially since they got a bye, are going to be dialed in for this game. And they're getting this Michigan team after they kind of went blow for blow with Wisconsin there. That box score doesn't tell the full story. If you looked at that box score, if you watched that game, you know how close that game was with Wisconsin being on a third-string quarterback. Maybe this was a look-ahead game. Maybe Michigan was always preparing for USC and thought they were going to walk over Wisconsin, and Wisconsin decided to be that annoying little brother that was like, hey, we still want to play the game. But I'm going to take USC money line here. I wouldn't hate the over, although I don't know why I'm getting shades of route. I'm getting shades of USC, Southern Cal, just spin the block on Michigan, and Bryce Underwood gets his first real bad loss of the season outside of playing Brent Venables. There's also something to be said about Lincoln Riley and getting a Lincoln Riley game here out of Jaden Mayava. You know Lincoln Riley's going to have one game where he turns his quarterback into a Heisman. And I could so see it. And I could so see it being this game against Michigan where everyone goes, oh my God, Lincoln Riley's done it again. Now he's got another Heisman quarterback. Jaden Mayava looks phenomenal. It's giving me like... I'm not going to say, I almost said it's giving me shades. It's reminding me a lot of what Dante Moore did to Penn State. And I think we're going to get that with Lincoln Riley here, beating a key mark in Michigan, having his quarterback play at a Heisman level. And, you know, with the way this Heisman race has been going day by day, there's a new favorite. Everyone going, wait a second. Jaden Mayava might be the guy. But as always, take my opinion with a grain of salt. I am full. If I did this, rocks go from side to side hitting my skull. But I'm going to take USC here, money line as a favorite. I love the spot. If you're still listening, let's get to the platter. Now listen, I'm going to just spray the board every Saturday. It's what I do. Also, we did hit the fuckities down there parlay in the NFL. I have been red hot, so I do have units to play with. Remember to gamble responsibly. It can be a slippery slope, so be responsible. But let's get to the platter. These are all my favorite games that I really like and that I'm going to bet on, and I've got it on a Bible right here. I've got stars and stripes next to all the games that I really, really like. Let's start with Cincinnati's team total. UCF is just moose shit. If there was a team that I've wanted to fade all year, it's Scott Frost and UCF. He was horrible at Nebraska, really bad behind-the-scenes stories, and now he's at UCF, a program that was already in shambles. Yeah, I'm going to try to fade them every chance I get, but I like Cincinnati's team total here. Brennan Sorsby is another potential Heisman candidate. Every quarterback this year could be the Heisman. So if you were having a conversation with me and you're like, yeah, Drew Aller could be the Heisman, yeah, maybe. There's been a new favorite every single week. I think it's just going to depend who has the best last week of the season for who's the Heisman. Ohio State minus 13.5. I know this is going to be a really popular game, so I at least wanted to just touch on it. I think Julian Sain's going to do some really bad things to this Illinois team. That Illinois defense is not good. And Ohio State has been doing this fun thing where they don't make Julian Sain do that much to win these ball games. But I think if there was ever a time to open up the playbook, it's going to be against Illinois, and it's going to be the Julian Sain game. I think Jeremiah Smith definitely gets in the end zone. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he gets 2+. I think Ohio State absolutely beats the brakes off him. Michigan State minus 8.5. This is such a weird game. Do you trust UCLA's new coordinator now that they sent him a box that apparently is foolproof? I didn't read the whole thing, but apparently they sent him a foolproof box for play calling where maybe there's no button that he has to click. It's just always on in Nico's head. Or do you take Nico and this UCLA team that maybe found some fight in him? I don't know. This is going to be a weird game, so I'm going to stay away. TCU, Kansas State, give me the over. If I were to take TCU money line in this game, and this is my problem, Kansas State would come out and look phenomenal. And they've done that to me 1,600 times this year, it's felt like. Every time I've taken Kansas State, they've come out and filled their diaper. But every time I fade them, like last game, they come out and it's, Kansas State just went outright. Kansas State looks phenomenal. And I don't want to play that game anymore, so just give me points in a classic Big 12, the Conference of Fun matchup. I'm going to go through these games, and I'll tell you the wagers, and I'm definitely going to place on the platter, but hopefully I hit some games that you were thinking about taking, maybe thinking about not taking. Maybe I'll talk you into it. Maybe I'll talk you out of it. Maybe I'll talk you into it because I've talked you out of it. Nebraska and Maryland over. After the over the century missed last weekend, which let's have a moment of silence for that. Of course, Washington waits till the fourth quarter to score 21 points. But listen, after the over of destiny missed last week, I'm going right back to this over with a Maryland team. I think Nebraska clearly in that fourth quarter. I think Maryland clearly in that fourth quarter showed that they're not as gritty as we thought they were. They should have won that game, but they didn't. And I think this Nebraska team is going to sneakily just skate by the rest of the year, squeaking out close wins, and I think this is going to be another close win for Nebraska. I think Dylan Raiola does have a good game. I know we've talked about him multiple times. If you're going to dress the part, play the part, brother. You can't dress up like a skeleton and act like a zombie. You can't dress up like Pat Mahomes and play like his brother. So this should be a key Mark Dylan Raiola game. You should be able to play Maryland, put up points. I think this is where we finally get the Barney touchdown that I took last weekend. So hopefully he finds Barney in the end zone. But I love this over 48.5 points. Wake Forest money line. Locked it in already. I locked it in 3 times already since the start of the week. Robbie Ashford, if you're following this show or you're a fan of me, let's just crown him as Mikey Over's Heisman of the Year, Robbie Ashford. The kid's rush yards are a free whale every single weekend, and I'd be remiss if I said I didn't love watching the kid play ball. He's just one of those quarterbacks where I cut the tape on, not even the tape, like I watch tape, I don't. I turn his game on and I go, just love everything about it. He does this little... If you're listening, I'm doing that. Throw that wham and whatever it is. I love Robbie Ashford. I love this Wake team. I think they're squeaking by. And I think they beat the crap out of Oregon State, who, by the way, still doesn't have a win. So if this was ever a spot to fade Mikey Overs and Robbie Ashford, it could be Oregon State. Iowa State, Colorado over 52.5. I have it written down. I don't know if I'm going to bet it. That might just be an emergency. Click a button if I need an over to go through the hoop. I do think there's a lot of points here. This is a perfect bounce back spot for Iowa State. I think Colorado's defense is junk. So I wouldn't be shocked if Iowa State puts up a lot of points. I don't know if Caden Salter is going to be able to move the ball against Iowa State, but I like this over if I were to take a play in that game. Texas A&M minus 6.5. I'm going to have locked in every way till Saturday. I think they're going to obliterate this team. I think you're going to get Florida feeling hot after beating Texas, and I think a lot of people are going to think that Florida's back. But if you watch that game, Florida's not back, man. Texas has a serious problem, and it starts with their offense. And I don't think you're going to see that same problem here. I think Marcel Reed is going to have his way with Florida. I think the DJ Lagway series is up after that Texas game. He's not coming into College Station looking like he did at home against Texas. I think Billy Napier loses his job after this one. This seems like exactly what I thought Texas A&M wasn't going to do to Mississippi State. What they did to Mississippi State is what they're going to do to Florida. And they're just going to keep spanking teams. And I think Texas A&M crushes Florida. And I think Florida's going to be a very popular bet because they just beat Texas, and now they're playing Texas A&M, and maybe DJ Lagway and this Florida team are going to do what they did last year, where towards the end of the year they just flipped a switch and all of a sudden covered spreads and beat teams they shouldn't have. But that's not going to happen. I think Marcel Reed is going to have his absolute way with this Florida team, and I'm taking his pass plus rush. I wouldn't hate his rushing touchdown. I think Texas A&M minus 6.5 is going to be one of my favorite bets of the weekend. Kansas plus 14.5. He's just our Heisman. Like our actual Heisman. Robbie Ashford's a Mikey Overs Heisman. I've said can we get a Heisman tracker on this episode? Jalen Daniels is just my favorite quarterback in college football, genuinely. I know Robbie Ashford, we crowned him as our Mikey Overs Heisman this year. Jalen Daniels is Hall of Fame Mikey Overs guy, along with DTR when he played at UCLA. Kansas plus 14.5 against Texas Tech. This is a bet that either I look like a genius or they're going to get absolutely belt spanked. But I'm going to take Kansas with the points. I think Kansas is a good enough team to keep this close with Texas Tech. Like, I really don't see a world in which Texas Tech beats Jalen Daniels by more than 14.5 points. And I think this Kansas team thrives when everybody counts them out and they can play with a chip on their shoulder. And I don't think that Texas Tech defense is going to have as easy of a time stopping Jalen Daniels as they have with other Big 12 competition. Now that I said that, Texas Tech just came out and spanked Kansas. South Carolina plus 8.5 at LSU. I think fading Brian Kelly is just a system at this point. He's just not a good coach. He seems like a horrible dude. And you know what? I'm going to take that back. He doesn't seem like a horrible dude. I'm not going to put that on him. He seems like a horrible hang. He seems like a guy where if you hung out with him for 30 minutes, he's one of those guys where you're just like, dude, can this guy just shut up? Or can this guy just get out of here? Like, he just seems like a horrible hang. Like, coaches I'd want to get a beer with, he doesn't crack the top 100. However, on the other side of the ball, Shane Beamer, that's a guy top 5 coaches I'd want to get a beer with. And I think Lenora Sellers can pull this off. I think South Carolina's a live dog in this one, and I hate when people use that term and they're like, oh, who's the live dog? What dogs are barking? Lenora Sellers is a guy that can go in this building and win this game for South Carolina, only because LSU is that bad this year. What Ole Miss did to LSU and Ole Miss showed me how easily Brian Kelly can get outcoached. And if South Carolina tries to go tempo or whatever their strategy is, I think Lenora Sellers is good enough to not only cover the spread, but I wouldn't be shocked if we're looking at a game where in the fourth quarter, South Carolina has a chance to drive and go win the game, because I do think Shane Beamer's a better coach than Brian Kelly. And I think this LSU team, the wheels are already off. I mean, Lord knows how hurt Garrett Nussmeier is, and that's a problem. When you're the guy you paid millions of dollars to come back, gets hurt, and he's not himself, that's really hard to cover spreads and win games, and I think Lenora Sellers is a guy that can do that when he's at full health, and hopefully he's going into this game full healthy. I've seen reports that he's playing. I've seen reports that he's going to be at full go, so hopefully Lenora Sellers is a full go, and they can play this LSU team and keep it tight. But I love South Carolina plus 8.5. BYU moneyline. This is just one of those plays where I'm just going to take the better team. They're not a ranked dog on the road. They're a ranked favorite on the road, which I really like as a short favorite. And I think this BYU team has kind of been a surprise. So I wouldn't mind sprinkling on BYU if that's a game that you looked at and you really wanted to bet on. Auburn plus 3.5 against Georgia is an auto lock in. I've already locked it in. I will lock it in again probably before game time. There's something weird about Jackson Arnold in these short spreads against good teams. And I'm trusting Auburn at home to cover against this Georgia team because Gunnar Stockton doesn't amaze me. He doesn't do anything special. I haven't really seen him make a throw where my eyes have opened up wide. He's really good at playing that fun game where he goes, I'm going to run through this hole and I'm going to take 2 years off my life, but I'm going to hit that guy really hard. And that's what Gunnar Stockton does. His rushing touchdown hits seems every game. But I like Auburn plus 3.5 here at home. I don't think this Georgia team is a Kirby team from years past. And I think after beating up on Kentucky, which, by the way, everybody should beat up on Kentucky, that doesn't give me faith that you can beat an Auburn team at home that likes to get frisky at these short spreads. I wouldn't be shocked if Auburn's a live dog, but I'm taking Auburn plus 3.5 and Jackson Arnold to cover the spread. I love it. I love this spot. For all my sickos, just for every single one of my sickos, we're taking Hawaii late night. Just move on. Just after the 13,000th beer where you can't even see your feet, just go ahead right before you go to bed. Just click that Hawaii button and move on. If it loses, it doesn't count because you placed it on Sundays and we're already focused on football because it's kicking off at midnight on the island. So just click that. If it hits, good. If it doesn't, who cares? We're moving on. Sound the alarms. We have an unranked home favorite against a ranked team in what apparently is going to be a rain bowl because I've been seeing Kenny Dillingham spraying water bottles at Sam Levitt while he's trying to throw a football. So apparently Utah's going to be playing in a monsoon. We're taking Utah minus 5.5. They're also in the parlay. This is just the system. We hit the system last weekend with Cincinnati playing Iowa State, and we're going to hit the system again because minus 5.5 against a ranked opponent at home, that's almost too easy to click Arizona State. Like, I could see clicking Iowa State and feeling like, oh, this could be a toss-up, but the amount of blind clicking on a ranked team plus 5.5, just give me Utah minus 5.5. I'll be on the other side of that one. If we lose our ass, we lose our ass. I think Devin Dampier is good enough to beat this Arizona State team at home in what apparently is going to be some of the worst weather of the year, but you know, so be it. We move to our pay for the drinks parlay. This is the parlay that we lock in every single weekend. It's always 3 legs. It's always plus 300 or more. And this weekend is plus 337. 3 teams in an absolute dream. And I really want you to be in a good headspace when you place this parlay. You could wait till Saturday when there's a full pitcher in front of you, maybe a beer tower. Don't be afraid to get a vodka soda up and moving. Don't be afraid to have a bullpen game with all the weird beers you got stacked in your fridge. Pay for the drinks plus 337, leg 1. Wake moneyline. I got to trust Robbie. I have to trust Robbie Ashford in this spot. If I'm going to talk all that smack, crown him as Mikey over Heisman, I got to take Wake Forest moneyline. Leg 2, USC moneyline. I just think this is a great spot. I think Jaden Mayava and Lincoln Riley are going to put on a masterclass at home against Michigan. And now that I said that, Bryce Underwood is now the favorite for Heisman after beating Jaden Mayava and USC on the road. But USC moneyline is leg 2. Leg 3, rounded out. This is where you tell the bartender the drinks are already paid, so you don't even have to take out your card. Utah moneyline. If I'm going to trust the system, I'm going to take it a step further and take them to win the game. I'm betting on the Spider-Man, Devin Dampier. 3 legs, plus 337, Utah, USC, Wake. Just know I'm going to have a unit or two on that. That is the pay for the drinks parlay of the weekend. Let's move to who's scoring. We already talked about it. I think we're getting a Ryan Williams touchdown again this week. Jeremiah Smith, I think, is going to get in the end zone. I think Barney for Nebraska gets in the end zone. I don't hate Dampier running one in for Utah. And then maybe last one, just because I don't want to overload them. I wouldn't hate a Dylan Raiola pass yard shout. That's just not who's scoring, but a little prop ski for you guys. That's our Week 7 episode. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully I didn't forget anything because I did have to wait 2 hours before completing the filming. But as always, we end every episode the same way with a little bit of Mikey core. And I tweeted something today. I'm filming on, this is Wednesday. But I tweeted something on Wednesday, and I just wanted to read it to you guys because it was something that I realized on my walk to the beach, which, you know, take that what you will. I do enjoy a good walk on the beach. That is not a meme. But as a person, I guess I kind of am a meme. But so Mikey core, I wanted to talk to you guys. You know, life hasn't been the easiest lately. It never feels easy, I guess. I feel like you get to a point in life where you look back and you go, well, nothing's really felt easy lately. And I'm starting to realize that I think as you get older, life is never going to feel easy. It's never going to feel like everything's clicking all at once all around you. There's always going to be something you're dealing with. There's always going to be something around the corner. And I don't say that negatively. I think that's just what growing up is. You get more responsibilities. You have more things you have to do. Life starts mattering in terms of the things in front of you are going to really matter, and you've got bigger things you need to worry about, and the responsibilities, like I said, get bigger, the risks get bigger. And I think I played this horrible game where I just expected, and this is a warning to everybody listening that is younger than me, that was in it, that's doing anything that they're doing, chasing any career they're chasing. There's no level of success that makes tomorrow feel better than today. I think I've just realized that a lot of the times I put the onus of my mental health on completing an objective and going, well, if I do this, I'll be happy. And if I complete this, I'll be happy. And if I complete that, I'll be happy. And the reality is, once you get over that hump, there's another hump to get over. And that's not a bad thing. And I'm not saying that negatively. I think there's joy in achieving something. And I think there really is. But the problem is when we put our mental health up at stake for it. And I think that's what I've done. And I've relied on successes to take care of my mental health instead of taking care of myself and being there for myself and making my mental health okay so that when I do achieve something or I do get to a top of a tiny mountain, that I can enjoy it. And it doesn't just become, oh, well, now I need to do this to be happy, or now I need this amount of money to be happy, or now I need this job to be happy. And I tweeted on Wednesday, something that I'm starting to realize is, as I'm getting older, I try to constantly remind myself that there's beauty in the struggle, there's progress in the pain, and there's clarity in the chaos. What makes life beautiful now, from my perspective, is getting through the struggles. And I think realizing when you're in one and trying to learn from it. Because a failure without a lesson learned is truly a failure. And I think there's beauty in failing, and I think there's beauty in just keeping going, to be honest with you. And something I'm trying to, every time we do one of these, by the way, I'm not a licensed physician or anything, I'm not a chiropractor. No, I know, I'm not a licensed psychology person, so listen to me with a grain of salt. But I'm just trying to realize that a more joyous life is when you find joy in those struggles. And that when you're going through pain, understand that you are progressing. It's supposed to hurt to get somewhere. And if you're feeling that pain, just understand that you are potentially making progress. And if you are feeling down on yourself and you get through that, you're going to feel so much better when you get to the other side. And that when everything feels like it's going wrong, that's when you learn the most about yourself and learn the most about how low you can go and how far you can go and how deep you can dig. And I think that's beautiful now, looking back on life. Is that the times when things aren't going well, you're growing the most and you're learning the most and you're hopefully taking steps towards being the person that you really want to be the most. Because when things aren't going wrong, it's almost like you stop thinking and you just start doing. And that's a beautiful place to be in. And I think too many times I would just sit in a moment where I didn't feel good and just not feel good for a long time. And I think now I'm finding beauty in that struggle of keeping going every day and trying to take that step forward. And then last thing, and then I'll let you guys out of here. There are a million ways to the top of the mountain, but only one view upon arrival. Enjoy the process. Fall in love with the hard nights where sleep doesn't seem to come very easy. Embrace the difficult days where everything goes against you. Your journey is yours and yours alone. Be there for yourself and find joy in the small moments. Whatever you're battling, you will conquer one step at a time. Forward is the only way. Hope you're winning your battle today. Love you guys. Sorry if that was all over the place. Take one step forward. I know how hard it can be to take a step forward in life, but if we take one step forward every single day, we're going to be in a better place this time next year if we do. I love you guys so much. Thanks for all the support on this college football stuff. As always, you can catch me on CBS Sportsline and CBS Sports HQ for the NFL stuff, so make sure you go check that out. I love you guys so much. Like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe, like and subscribe. Let's go cash a parlay. Let's hit some props. Let's hit some key games. Love you guys.